9 years ago, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and that was quite a shock. But I tried to struggle with it for 7 years because my symptoms were fairly mild for most of it. And then for the last 2 years, I've been taking medication. That's helped quite a bit. But it's still only covering up the disease. It's not changing it, it's not slowing it down. And even though I may feel a little better one day or the other, I still have to think about it all day long. It's not something that goes away. It's always there. It's always something that I consider because I'm either shaking or I'm having a little trouble walking or maybe tying my shoes or buttoning my shirt or something. But it's something I can deal with. I've learned to cope with it, but it's not a lot of fun. And certainly, it's something that starts taking things away from you, things that you love to do, things that you want to do. But it's interesting because people do wonder how you're doing, and that's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to make this video, is because I wanted to explain that this is a steady decline. It's not something that I'm gonna eventually get better or anything like that, because it's incurable, it's degenerative, and it's a disease. But at the same time, I still hold out that hope for better therapies and a cure. In the meantime, just to report, I'm still doing fine. And no matter what happens, I'll always be fine. One of the first things I learned about the Fox Foundation was that Michael was exactly like he is in the movies. He's very funny, very interesting, and very positive. And his message of being positive in the face of incredible difficulties, especially with him because he got the disease at such a young age, and he had such a promising career at the time, and still he's acting, still he's doing things. And I love him on The Good Wife. He's a wonderful character, and he's been doing wonderful things both on and off the screen. So that's a message to everybody. It's not only a message of hope, but a message of being positive. No matter what happens to you in life, you've got to deal with it. You've got to move on. You've got to, take it with you and make the best of it.
Seeing a great charge to the front by Dane Cameron and that number 31 Whelen Team Fox Corvette Daytona prototype.
There is our leader on the left, Dane Cameron in the 31.
White flag.
Beautiful
13
work to
second
hear.
lead last time by, so comfortable right now for Dane Cameron if he can bring it home for this second win of the year.
Dane Cameron brings the Whelen Team Fox number 31 Corvette Daytona prototype to the checkered flag. Victory for Action Express.
Well, 3 years ago when I started trying to raise money for the Fox Foundation, and I coincided with my retirement from racing at the time, I called it Racing for a Cure. Seems simple enough. Since then, we've raised over $500,000 thanks to your help, and a lot of that money is starting to bear fruit because all the donations that come from around the world to fund the research that's being done right now have produced some very exciting things recently. The one thing that is still outstanding that I'm hoping will come sooner rather than later is a way to identify somehow through a biomarker whether you have Parkinson's or not, whether the disease is progressing or not, what stage the disease might be at. All these things are typical benchmarks that you can get with any disease, just about. With Parkinson's, it's one of those that doesn't have a biomarker yet. So a lot of the research that we're doing is going towards finding that biomarker, because once we can measure Parkinson's, we can measure what affects it and how it affects it, measure where it is in your body and where it can be addressed. There's places around the world that are testing using their models and their samples to find that biomarker. Since I retired from racing 3 years ago, I've been on the track a couple times, I mentioned, and it was especially fun for me because I was able to put a second seat in and got to terrorize my fiancée, Christine. good experience for both of us. We had a lot of fun out on the track, and Watkins Glen and BIR was a real experience, I think, for everybody. I think she loved it. It was great, so we had a lot of fun. When I think of people that I know that, got it when they were in their 20s or 30s, it just breaks my heart, because I know what I'm experiencing. I got it when I was 53, and I'd already had a lot of my life and didn't have to deal with it then. But when I think of those people, I just feel really sad, because I would love to have a cure, but they definitely need one. So I appreciate all the work that everyone's doing to find that cure, because that's really so important. You can do exercise, you can feel better, and you can take medication that makes you feel better. I want something that gets me better. So that's why it's important to fund this research that needs to be done. And I certainly appreciate your support doing that, because it gives me strength to have the hope that this will be cured someday.